Some things break, some things work, and other things are somewhere in the middle. My name is Ilya, and in this video I'm going to do a complete review of Raketium's agency plan. As you can see, they have 3 different plans. If you don't count their highest business plan, which is $500, I have their agency plan, so I'm going to review all the features that this plan has and all of the features that the other 2 plans also have. So let's just get started and create a new video. As you can see, you can either use a blank template or create a video from a template. Now these templates, they actually do not have that many of them. For example, if I select social, social has somewhat a lot. Okay, social only has about this much. And as you can see, if I select technology, that will be even less. So the number of templates here isn't actually that large, but they do have more scene specific templates once you actually start creating the video, so that part is great. I'm going to start with a highlights from my trip from Iceland, just because why not? So this is what the editor looks like once the template is fully loaded. I'm going to play the video. And this is what the video looks like. I don't want to play all of it because it's, quite long, but let's just go over all of the features within the editor, and there are a lot of features. So let's start with the basics. Let's pretend that this isn't here. Let's pretend that we wanted to create a new scene. That's simple. You just you press this little plus button right here that is disappearing for me for whatever reason. These glitches do happen from time to time. This program is nowhere near perfect, which you will see as I do this review. So these are their scenes, or basically slides, and these are all the slide templates that they have. As you can see, there's actually a lot more of these slide templates than there were templates in the previous, maybe a minute ago. This is because they seem to have a lot of these actual just per slide templates and not a lot of video templates. So for example, let's say I want to create, let's say for some reason I decide to do this one, and that will add a new video right here. Does that say crash course or cash course? Crash course on Google Ads. Or I can add a new one and make it a completely blank scene. If you do have a blank scene, the first step is adding media. So you click add media right here or right here. And this is what the media selection looks like. The default is image. You can do GIFs or videos, and yes, I say them as GIFs. And you can also choose to include premium results. Now, premium results, if I scroll down here, you will see that their stock library, the free one is included in all plans. The Storyblocks one is included in all plans, and Storyblocks is pretty much what Lumen 5, Content Samurai, pretty much almost every other video creation platform uses as their secondary tier of premium videos. So this is great. And they also offer Shutterstock, tons of photos and videos at a 50% discount. So let's go back here. I do not include premium because I do not want to buy them, but I can search anything up, and this is what it will look like. So if I search up lava, this is what the preview will look like. I can press play, and the video will play, and I will see where the video is from. And I can, preview multiple ones. I can select that I want to add this, and maybe I want to add this one also, and then I'll just press confirm. And it will add 2 different videos, 2 different scenes out of that content. This does sometimes take a while, and sometimes it doesn't work. Now, there are a lot of things within the software that do not work perfectly, and I will try to go over all of them because I'm not trying to make the software seem like it's the best in the world, because it is not, but also it is not terrible. It's somewhere in the middle. There's a lot of good things and there's a lot of bad things. So once the video is added, the next step is adding something. So I'm going to type some things and then continue. Alright, so I typed a thing and another thing, and then basically to do this I just press the plus button and choose to add a text. Adding a media within a scene has never worked for me. I'm not sure what it's supposed to do, but it's never worked for me, and I've been trying to do it for the past month. So I don't know what that does. It doesn't really work. But with here you can select the text and make it a heading. As you can see, this made it bigger. That's pretty self-explanatory. Or highlight it As you can see, that highlighted it. That's also pretty self-explanatory. So once you do have the text for each of the parts of the video, you can edit the timing. And to edit the timing, you go into here. This is scene 9. And as you can see, I can edit the timing for the video, and I can edit the timing for the actual caption. So where does it start? Where does it end? All down to the, a tenth of a second or a millisecond. Alright, so you can add text, you can add videos, as you can do with any other video editing program. What else can you do? I'm glad you asked, even though you did not. So first of all, you can edit the text. And one interesting thing is you can, of course, move the text around. You can change the font. You can change the sizing. All of that is great. But one interesting thing is that once you open up Rickettiem, if you do decide to buy it, all of this will not be available to you. You will only have color, alignment, and maybe animation. I don't really remember. But all of these are free features of Rickettiem. So where are they hiding? They are hiding in their what they call the store or the app store. Now, as of today, pretty much everything on this store is just basically free features that I'm assuming they didn't want to have all of them inside of Rickettiem right away as to not overwhelm a beginner user. That's my assumption. But as you can see, there's features, there's animations, music, and fonts for different languages. So for features, you can change the letter spacing, add transitions, overlays, autofit captions. The workflow tab is for working with multiple team members. Add a scene animation, have a video background, change the scene background color, add frames, edit images, add dynamic backgrounds, and change the line spacing. And then they also have animation packs, and some of these animations are pretty cool, but a lot of them are kind of broken, as you will see in a bit. That seems to be a trend with some of these things. So effects, for example, as you can see right here, this is broken. This is just none, so that's fine, but it's kind of broken. Then this right here is just a weird rotating globe. And if I choose it, as you can see, the globe is squished and looks really strange. This, I don't understand what this is supposed to be. This doesn't work. But then they also have some that are pretty good looking. Pretty much just, a way to add motion to the text. So you can select this. And if you look right here, you'll see the preview. So if I click on this, that's the way for the text to enter. If I add this, that's another transition. And they have a couple of these that actually look, not bad, pretty good. And then they have some that are, for example, I like this one. And then they have some that are completely broken, like right here. So you just have to be careful with what you choose and preview it before you actually, use it. Then they have animation, which is just how the characters appear, which is different from effects because effects are for what is in the background. Animation is actually how the characters appear. As you can see, this is just the text, the animation was in the background. Now going next, you can do the same thing for the background media. All of these were not available, frames were not available, scene animation transitions were not available. All of these were added through the Rickettiem store. My assumption is that they will eventually add make this a public store where everyone can submit new features, pretty much like the Apple App Store with, things they can buy, and they'll make money from that. But for now, it's just free stuff that they are offering. So frames, it's a cool concept. You can't edit any of these, which is annoying. You can't edit the color on these. You can't edit the, pretty much the shape. You just have to work with what they've got, which is a little limiting, especially compared to NVIDIA, which allows you to edit pretty much everything, and is actually cheaper, hint, hint. But not all of the frames are actually, work with the right size. I believe this is a 16:9 video. This seems to be a 4:3 frame, a differently scaled frame. These one would work. So these one would work and do look good. But not all of these actually work perfectly or fit in fine. For example, a lot of the square ones are actually smaller than an actual square video, so then you just have wasted space on the outside. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. I like this. As long as they add more or added the editing feature, this would be nice, but this isn't really a need to have. Scene and media animation is basically the same as the text animation. It's just how things appear or fade in. Doesn't really, isn't really that much different. Doesn't really change much. Filters are basically just overlays over the image. How does the image look? Same thing as Instagram filters. Just make the image look differently using different overlays. And that is pretty much it. You can also, when you're adding a new scene, let's add a blank scene. Instead of adding media, you can still go here, but you can also add, a color. You can add a gradient, you can add a solid color. Gradients do look a little bit nicer usually, or you can upload your own video. So I'm going to add a gradient, and this is what that looks like. That's actually kind of a little bit ugly. Is there a filter on this? That's because there was a filter on this. Okay. Without a filter, it actually looks a little bit better. What else? Export settings. This is where you choose the media resolution. It defaults to 720p, so make sure that you choose Full HD if you have the option to do so. This is one thing that really annoys me about Roketium. It is that, as you can see right here, you can only start doing 1080p once you are on their expert plan, which is $99 per month or $75 per month on their annual. Yeah, $75 per month on their annual, which is pretty darn expensive for 1080p. Like 720p at $49 per month. Sure, that's cool, but that's very, very limiting considering that 1080p is pretty much the standard. And you also only get a 3 minutes of video, which is quite limiting considering that Roketium is pretty much built to not only create social media videos, but also create videos for YouTube. At least that's how I see it. Otherwise, why would they have, so many features? But limiting at 3 minutes is a little bit strange. And right here, you can also see that you can upload 120-second clips versus 60 seconds here. So pretty much only starting at the agency plan is when you can start creating videos for YouTube that would actually be of normal YouTube length. Otherwise, it's like 5 minutes maximum, which is a little weird. That is Lumen 5's limit, but Lumen 5 is focused on social media. And Roketium seems to be focused on both social media and YouTube. So this is a little bit strange. As for the types of videos you can actually create, aspect ratio, I'm currently in landscape. I can do a square, which is perfect for social, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter even. Portrait, which is just vertical, or an Instagram ad, which is a little bit different than portrait. So this is what it looks like. Alright, and Facebook covers are just optional. If you have the agency plan, it's not really relevant to most people. They have music, pretty standard music library compared to, pretty much every other tool out there. They're all very similar. They all have a lot of songs. Songs should not be a deciding factor in looking at what video tool to get for most people. But one thing that should be a deciding factor is the voiceover. So Roketium does allow for voiceovers, which is great. But the voiceover is limited to the slide that it's on, which is a little bit annoying, considering that the voiceover, you can either upload it or record, and when you're recording the voiceover, the maximum length is actually 120 seconds. So at 120 seconds, it doesn't really give you enough time to create a longer video. Like, that's good for social, but it's not really good for anything else. So as you can see, I just created the voiceover. It's going to get added to the scene. And now the scene is this long, and it has a voiceover. Well, that's the video, actually. The scene is this long because it has a voiceover on it. And if you have, if you're someone who records a voiceover in Audacity or other tools, and then, because most people who create quality content do that because the voiceover doesn't sound great when it's just recorded like this, even with a good microphone, then you're going to have to either cut the voiceover up into 120-second pieces or upload it as a music file, as a music track, but then you don't get to add music to the video, which is annoying. One thing that I know people are going to ask about is the letterbox videos, which are basically just square subtitle videos, or they have memes here. It doesn't really matter. But videos like this, where, you know, there is some sort of call to action or explanation at the top, and there are subtitles on the bottom. Similar to Lumen 5 videos, but a little bit different, a little bit simpler. So yes, Rhoketium does have these templates, but they are a little bit limiting, and I will show you why in just a sec. Alrighty, so this is what it looks like, and at first glance it's fine, right? You have a video here, you have the video that you want, and then you have the text here. But keep in mind that if your videos and the voiceover you have are separate, then the maximum length you can have is going to be 20 seconds. And keep in mind that you have to set your timings yourself. It does not have an auto timing feature. It does not have a timing feature other than, setting it yourself, which is a little bit annoying. They do have a way of setting it, which is a little bit easier than, for some things, but it's still not perfect. Basically, as you play the video, you can press these little buttons, which are hidden until you hover over the video, and you press this to start, match the current time, and then press this to end. So I could press play.
I believe that this nation should commit itself.
Oh, wait. This is the header. This is the top, right? So that's this. Let me just restart again.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to...
So as you can see, when I press this automatically changed. If I wanted to change this separately, I'd press this again. So that's not bad, but it is a little bit annoying, especially when there are tools like Content Samurai or Lumen 5. Well, Content Samurai that allows a voiceover, or Lumen 5 that automatically changes the videos and adjusts based on the text. One thing that I don't like is also that there is no AI, but that's, there's not, NVIDIA doesn't really have AI, a lot of other tools don't really have AI, so that's not a huge deal. So let's take a look at the pricing. I already mentioned that the pricing is a little bit weird because, you have $49 per month, which is reasonable, but all that does is remove the watermark and allow you to export in 720p. 720p isn't really great, and considering that you only get to create up to 3 minutes of video, this is only good enough for basically creating social media videos. And if you're doing that, then you might as well get either InVideo or Lumen 5. Now, if you're trying to create longer videos, then you're getting up to $199 per month. And then at that point, Lumen 5 gives you 25 videos or photos from Shutterstock Premiere Collection per month for free. And there's not a lot of other features that you get at $199 per month on the agency plan. Like, sure, you get some fonts, you get collaboration tools, you get some analytics and closed captions, but that's not really, in my opinion, worth it. The pricing's a little bit arbitrary, right? You get 20 per month for professional, 40 for expert unlimited here. Cool. But then the video length is 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a little arbitrary, and the resolution is definitely annoying. So my personal preference, it's not a bad tool. Like, don't get me wrong, Rhoketium is not a bad tool. It has a lot of features. It has a lot of things that you can actually do inside of it. It is not a bad tool. But if you're looking at it not just as a solo tool, but if you're comparing it to all of the other tools on the market, I can't really recommend Rhoketium unless there's, some feature of it that you really, really, really need. Because even their article feature, or so-called article feature, let me demonstrate it to you real quick. And I'm actually demonstrating using the post where this will be embedded in. But you just basically put in the URL and it just imports the post, right? This is my Rhoketium review post on videos and persuasion. It imports, all the text, all of the images, so that's good, but it's basically just a glorified copy and paste tool. Because what you do is you just select this, and you can either use the text to create a new slide, or select the text and, put it into the current slide. So, yes, this does make it a little bit faster, but it's not really that significant, and compared to compared to how the way that InVideo does it, compared to the way that Content Samurai does it, compared to the way that Lumen 5 does it. This feature is basically a glorified copy and paste. So looking at the price, looking at all of the features that you get, I don't really think Roketium is worth it for most people unless you have a very, very strong reason after looking at, maybe their sales page and their pricing page for why you would need it. Otherwise, I would definitely recommend checking out my NVIDIA review, checking out my Lumen 5 review, and maybe even the Content Samurai review, depending on what you need, to see if those tools are better suited for you. And also, FYI, most of them are a little bit cheaper than this, especially if you want to export in 1080p Full HD. Alright, so that's pretty much the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments, or about what video tool you should choose, about why I didn't really like Roketium that much, or anything else, please leave a comment below and I will get to you as soon as I can. Thank you very much, and I hope that you have a great day.